this life was all I ever wanted.
I'm not leaving. Not yet.
I was hoping you'd say that.
We gotta hit the streets, make some money.
People like us must destroy people like him. Buckle up.
Get Showtime free at Showtime.com.
So UFC Florida is in the books. Alistair Overeem gets a win. He defeats Walt Harris via second round TKO. Now, here's the question, BC. I'm going to try and throw it to you first. Maybe that's a mistake, but we'll see how the audio goes. Let me ask you this, BC. At 40 years of age, which he turned on Sunday, what is still realistically possible for the Dutch heavyweight? He says he wants to keep competing because he wants a UFC title, but I'm seeing that BC cannot hear me. All right, well then I'll answer this one while we can see if BC can fix this. So here's the question for everyone watching. What is realistically possible for the Dutch heavyweight at 40 years of age? I will go first on this one. Hopefully we can repair the problems on the other side of the East Coast here. The answer is, first things first, I think you have to take a step back on what Overeem accomplished here. He thread the most impossible needle on Saturday night, which is to say the following. He didn't exactly have the world rooting in an angry way against him, but everybody was hoping for a fairy tale ending for Walt Harris. And listen, that's a hard place to be in because I think a part of him probably also wanted only nice things to happen to Walt Harris. It just so happened that he was his opponent for that evening and, of course, prior to that UFC DC. But he was respectful to Walt Harris the entire time. And when the fight was over, the first thing he did was put a literal arm around him. He has only maintained a high degree of professionalism throughout this entire thing. We were in a scrum with this guy at UFC DC when he was asked about Walt Harris because he had fallen through it, and Jair Zinho Rosenstruck was the replacement, and he only had the right answers every single time. So that was an impossible feat to pull off there. Second of all, this was a really important win for him. He was nearly, he should have beaten Rosenstruck, but of course, things collapsed for him at the last second. If he had had another loss here, this would have been the first time that he would have had a loss in, I think, ever, but certainly recent memory, where it would have been somebody outside the top 5, really. He's had losses from guys in the top 10, but somebody who had never even been in the top 5, somebody who had never even reached into that upper echelon. That was a new space for him. If he had lost, which is to say Walt Harris is not a bad fighter, but this was the fight that he was looking for to get that signature win, to get that elevation moment. He just hadn't done it yet. And so you wouldn't have said that Overeem had lost to a bad fighter, but you would have said that we are now entering a different set of territory for him. So what is possible? He still wants that title. I will not rule that out for him. I don't know how likely that is because when he gets to the really upper echelon of that division against your Francises, your Stipes, and some other ones, he seems to run into some problems. But it should be noted for a guy who's been fighting literally since the 90s, you can look at all the changes inside MMA. They are reflected through his career. And for him to still be this competitive this late through this many versions of a reinvention is just utterly remarkable. So I don't know if a title is likely, but he has absolutely earned a spot at being certainly another high-level opponent in a major fight. But I'm not going to downgrade his chances. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not possible. He is such a remarkable chameleon-like talent. And to be able to be this crafty, this late, and this devastating, and to not lay down the way he did when he had basically every incentive to, or certainly outside pressure, is pretty remarkable. Now let's go to BC here, see if he can hear us. BC, can you hear us? Brian, that's you, bud.
Hello. I'm Brian Campbell. Welcome to Morning Combat.
Yes, I will leave the Zoom call and rejoin. Take it away on Alistair Overeem.
All right. I saw this fight on Saturday. Look, third card, 8 nights. This heavyweight tilt certainly had that emotional potential. You almost wanted to see Walt Harris get that type of big win, giving everything he went through. And I really feel like this is going to go down as one of those more heartbreaking, gut-wrenching type losses because Harris was right there. He showed you everything in those first few minutes against a very game Overeem that announced his potential as a legit heavyweight title contender in the UFC. the size, the explosiveness, 6'5", big ticket coming at you. He hurts Overeem. He bloodies him. He's literally one clean strike or one flurry, seemingly, from getting Dan Mirigliotta to jump in and stop that fight. I almost feel like it would have been a quick trigger, natural, emotional response from Mirigliotta just to be like, yep, you got him. Game over. Big victory. Big win for people in the Harris household. Unfortunately, man, the momentum can turn so damn quickly in this sport. And we saw one of the most forgettable sort of big strike attempts that didn't come up positive for Harris when he tried that front kick, missed badly, got off balance, got essentially pushed to the ground. And then this is where Overeem at 39 still has it. This is where it becomes dangerous to call somebody celebrity gatekeeper, because he used all the veteran tricks that are in his tool bag to be able to lean on Harris, put it on that gas tank. And you have to believe the emotions are so high for Walt in that situation that he's probably dealing with the stress of, oh crap, I just made this monster mistake when the fight was just about over. And all of that seemed to conspire to just badly drain his gas tank. Overeem did everything he could have and should have. And I hate to say this, but that missed strike from Walt Harris at the exact time that he did it, it cost him the fight on the same level as the Weidman spinny shit against Rockhold in the middleweight title bout that lost him. The Sonnen spinny shit against Andy Silva in the rematch, right? The Stephan Bonner spinny crap that cost him the Anderson Silva fight, even though he was juiced up, well tanned too. Nice abs for Stephan Bonner in that fight. Harris had the chance, even beyond his emotional story, to really make that leap. But he wasn't there because Overeem did exactly what he had to do. Could Overeem get back into the title picture again? I mean, look, it's heavyweight. You age gracefully. It's pretty incredible the career Overeem has had that he's still at this level. I'd say it's unlikely he circles back to a second UFC title shot, but we know what heavyweight is, right? It's a little bit hot right now. There's 3, 4, 5 guys we want to see at the title level, but that can dissipate quick and you end up with the same retreads. And Overeem could retread his way back in there, and that's not necessarily an insult. It's a big win for him. To be that damaged early and to be able to keep his head and also keep his chin. Here's another guy after Andrei Arlovsky, a couple days before, who we're always willing to count out as chinny, and they find a way to fight through it. Luke, are you back? Are you back in my life right now?
I back, BC. Can you hear me?
Trust me, I can hear you.
Oh, very good. BC, I got to tell you, were you not impressed in the way that I was with Alistair Overeem, which was he had this impossible sort of task, which was, spoil the fairy tale ending, and somehow managed to do it in a way where two things occurred. One, he didn't piss off anybody. He was a pro's pro and a true martial artist, I will even say, throughout the course of the entire process. Then he showed a level of determination to get this win. Like, he knew if he did not get this, if he finally entered into a territory where he was losing to a guy who had never himself entered the top 5 or had really ever been close to title contention, that at 40 years of age, which he turned on Sunday, he would be entering a level of defeat to someone that he never had before. He showed a level of resiliency and urgency that I've never seen before. So to me, BC, it's like, can he win a UFC title? I don't know, man. I mean, he's got stiff competition at the top that he's already lost to. On the other hand, he's so talented and so crafty, you just can't count this guy out.
Yeah, he sort of put himself in the same spot that I think Frank Mir was entering the JDS title shot, that maybe JDS was entering the Stipe rematch, where it's like, yeah, the skills are still there, even though we're in the second half of his career, to be able to pull off the type of wins that gets you into those title fights. But will he ever win one? Again, unlikely, but you love anyone who can turn back narratives. Oh, he's chinny, he's too old, all that. He not only did that, but something you just sort of teased to, the civility and human side of him, helping Walt Harris up afterwards. He pulls off one of the more villainous victories in a sense, spoiling this great story, spoiling this happy ending and all that, and yet still comes off likable. Not talking about Stipe tapping at all, even though I know Alistair felt it. So it was a good night altogether. A good heavyweight bout that I think, if you remove the emotional element of the story, did teach us where both of them should be in the pecking order of the title picture.
So yeah, very quickly, where would you put Walt Harris? To me, I got a lesson from this, which was his offense is as dangerous as advertised. But in terms of managing a fight and the different pieces of chaos that come with the risk there, and how you assess all those things and when you press the gas and the brake, still a little bit to learn there for me.
Yeah, and again, Luke, you can only you don't know how much of that was the emotional picture as a whole and the short notice, the short training camp, the quarantine. You put all of that together, and we're still not sure on a fight-by-fight basis whether certain fighters are going to be as good as we expect, worse. You give him a pause on that, but if we're going to be ultra critical and remove the emotion, yes, he did not look like the intangibles were perfectly there to be a legit title contender. But again, it's heavyweight. He's only 36. He's still kind of figuring out who he is. He's going to have time in that regard. It was a sobering understanding of where he fits in that heavyweight pecking order.
This life was all I ever wanted.
I'm not leaving. Not yet.
I was hoping you'd say that.
We gotta hit the streets, make some money.
People like us must destroy people like him. Buckle up.
Get Showtime free at Showtime.com.